Namaskar, Murali.
Namaskar. Hi, I'm Gargi, and I'm back after quite a long time. For various reasons, I couldn't make my videos before. Anyway, I'm back for good. And today, I have a very special person with me. So I'll ask all of you, those of you who have not yet subscribed to my channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Now, coming to my special guest for today. He's a leading face of the global Kashmiri diaspora, and he's dedicated to the cause of the Kashmiri Pandits, and not only Kashmiri Pandits, but Sanatani Hindus at large. You can see his name as the credit rolls of the film Kashmir Files in the acknowledgement section, as he has contributed largely with his experience to the film. Now, this person was born in Jammu and Kashmir to a very accomplished parents. His father was the chief engineer in the electricity department, and mother was head of the department of Hindi in Kashmir University. And he did his schooling and pre-medical education from Srinagar. And then in the 1990s, the fated years, they moved out of Kashmir. He did his medicine from Osmania University and later masters in surgery from Bombay, was a senior resident in surgery in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And later in 1996, he moved to England, where he worked as a surgeon in Brighton and Sussex University Hospital, though away from the country for a long, long time. His longing for his motherland always remained. And his heart bled for the plight of the Kashmiri Pandits and all the persecuted Sanatani Hindus in all parts of the world. So he took a sabbatical and came back to India 6 months back. So here I have with me the very lively, enthusiastic, and the firebrand, Dr. Vivek Kaul. So,
Namaste.
Dr. Vivek Kaul, welcome to my channel, and thank you for coming, and thank you for being part of this question answer session. Yes.
Namaste, Gargi ji. I'm very happy to be here, and
I hope I've said everything correctly about you.
Bilkul, right? Better than me. I couldn't have done it better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. God
so,
bless.
Yes, I start with the first question. Dr. Kaul, you have been always calling yourself a genocide survivor. And of course, we know that your early life was in Srinagar. So what was the exact time when you left, and were you or your family witness to the massacre and the genocide? What did you see?
We had to leave in the middle of February when the killings had increased. We were right through there when the things became from bad to worse. There were killings in 89, but they were scattered. But it all started when Rubiya Sayed, the Home Minister's daughter, got kidnapped around December 89 time. And to release them, they wanted 4 dreaded terrorists to be released. And
Dr. Sayed, can you name the Home Minister then for the audiences?
Mufti Mohammad Sayed was the Home Minister in VP Singh's government. And his daughter Rubiya Sayed was kidnapped. And the ransom was 4 dreaded terrorists of JKLF. They were released, and that started a tsunami of Azadi. The whole, the later part of December and January was consumed by these Azadi gangs, saying all the slogans which you have heard in the movie, The Kashmir Files, Ralev Galev Salev, or, leave your women here and go, men can leave, but they can leave their Hindu women here. And, what do we want? We want Nizam-e-Mustafa. They all started in December, and it culminated in January. It was, every street and every mohalla was full of these jihadis with AK-47 in their hands in the Farron, because it was winter. They used to have these guns and machine guns under their big cloak called Farron. And that was a time when we were there, and we learned, we will talk about the 19th of January in
1990.
In 1990. And but we found that from our daddies, one of our friends, or you can say a colleague or a subordinate of daddy, who daddy had employed, a Muslim guy, he came to our house saying that my dad's name is in the hit list, which used to be updated in the local masjids. So that was a time when it coincided with few high-tech killings in February, like Lasa Kaul, the station director of Doordarshan India, was killed. And there were a few more
Can
killings.
you elaborate on the killing of Lasa Kaul, the Doordarshan director?
He was a director general of Doordarshan and All India Radio, or Kashmir Radio it was called. He used to live in a special area in Bemina, which was sanitized. And one day he had to see his parents and left for that place. I don't know who super grasped against him. As soon as he reached Batmalu near his parents' house, he was gunned down by these jihadis. And his body lay there for a few hours before it was taken by the security forces. That was his end. And daddy's name was also in the hit list. So daddy went to speak to Wajahat Habibullah, who used to be the chief secretary, and said, this has happened. He was a bit sympathetic. He said, Kaul Saab, why don't you go to Jammu for a few months? I will place you there and you can come back, in a couple of months and things should become normal. So that was, in summary, my dad's and our. So we left in February. Actually, my marriage was to happen in that year. So it got delayed and I had to marry on 3rd January 1990 in Jammu because I could not marry everything was to be done in Kashmir,
Okay.
Things had become bad.
So when did your marriage was scheduled and you said it got shifted?
Yeah, it was scheduled in February 1990, but it was moved or postponed to be held in Jammu on 3rd March 1990.
Okay. So February 1990, you people moved out, but
Yes.
There was no attack on your house. Only you came to know that your father's name was on the hit list, and that time only no attack you faced personally. Any attack, any atrocities?
We used to face only these sloganeering in the daytime. And as you have seen from the movie or you will read, 19 January night was the worst. They were shouting all those slogans from all the mosques or the big loudspeakers. Same Raleigh Gali Saleh and Yahan pe humko Nizam Mustafa and leave your women here and all that. So that happened, and they were, going to houses and banging the doors, and a lot of our women folk, they were ready to commit suicide. So I came to know many of them in England, and when I heard their stories, that their parents had packed them to the top floor with kerosene and all those things, where they could put kerosene on them and burn themselves up. So it was across the board. A lot of Kashmiri women had gone to, as in the movie, they say, let us go to Brar Kani. Brar Kani is the top floor.
Okay.
The movie also, he says, let us go to Brar Kani. I think Sharda says that. So many women had done this. They had taken a lot of kerosene and matchstick to burn themselves if the mobs came to their house and found them. So this was across the board.
Okay. Like the Johar, it reminds of the Johar.
Yeah. They didn't want to.
Of course, it is better to die,
die rather than be taken up by mobs. So they were prepared for it. I met many of them. Actually, Vivek Agnihotri, you will ask me later on, I suppose. Vivek Agnihotri has interviewed all these people around the world.
Right. You also, contributed to Vivek Agnihotri's film. You know him personally, so you can just shed some light on that. Yeah,
he, as you know, as he has said to all the audiences or interviews, that 90% of his filmmaking was research, and 10% was only filmmaking. So he went from house to house. He had divided his team into 2 or 3. One he sent to Jammu, other he sent to Delhi, rest he sent to rest of India. And then he himself went to America and later on to England in 2019 to take the testimonies. He has collected around 700 testimonies, which amount to about 5,000 hours of real footage of people who were victims or victims' family, or these stories of ladies or what happened to us. So yes, he went around and then he came somebody, there was he is mentioning it in a lot of interviews, Palviji actually, saying that the stories were nerve-wracking. And one of the stories, she says that a young girl said that the first time she saw her father was when her father's dead body came from postmortem. And the body was also not sewn up properly. And she saw her father for the first time naked. That happened in our house. That girl did not want to give interview in any other house except ours. She had good faith in me and my wife. So that interview took over 12 hours because there were a lot of, we had to stop the interviews. It was getting very emotionally draining. So he was very thorough. As I said, in every house, he used to go at around 8:30 used to arrive with his crew. The crew was not much. His son was one of the cameramen, another was another cameraman, and Pallaviji. So they used to take turns taking interviews. So very thorough documentation. There was no
hurry. So basically the dinner she mentioned that we had a 5-course dinner, that was at your place.
Yes, my place, yes. Yes,
at Oxford.
I had also made Mishti Dohi because you like Mishti Dohi in Bengali. So I made Mishti Dohi. And he said, no, he doesn't like sweets. I said, you have to have this Mishti Dohi because Kishore Das family love this, which I make. So he had and he really liked it. And the interview started.
After the dinner.
Yes.
After the dinner.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, she speaks about that in her interviews, that we had a very 5-course dinner and all, and very jovial atmosphere.
Yes.
And then when the interview started, like she couldn't take it after eating such huge dinner and all. Then you talk about that.
It happened in our house, correct. In one place, me and Vivek had to go out for a walk because it was getting too much emotional draining, So,
Okay, I'll come to the next question. So what, according to you, the role was played by Farooq Abdullah and Mufti Muhammad Said? Because Farooq was the chief minister and Mufti Muhammad Said was the first home minister, the first Muslim home minister of the country in December 89 in VP Singh government. So what role do you think they played?
Farooq Abdullah did not get along well with Jagmohan. If you read Jagmohan's letter in April 1990, he mentions about how he let about 80 terrorists from the jail in Kashmir during his tenure as a governor. He had written to Rajiv Gandhi as Prime Minister that things are going from bad to worse. There was pre-1990, and a lot of terrorists are coming over from over the LOC, including the ones Mujahideens who were freed up.
What time was this latest time? The time of the Jagmohan?
You can say 86, 87, 88. That time
when Rajiv Gandhi's government was.
When Rajiv Gandhi and when Farooq Abdullah was the chief minister and our Jagmohan Sahab was the governor. And he's in the letter, and he mentions to him that I have reminded you. In 1990, he writes a letter in frustration because the build-up for frustration was that nobody was listening to Governor Jagmohan in 1990 also when he got the second term. So he wrote a letter, and not only that, Rajiv Gandhi was bad-mouthing him in parliament that he's a killer, he's an anti-Muslim and all that. And that prompted Jagmohan to set his record clean by writing a letter in April 1990 to Rajiv Gandhi, reminding him of the previous letters or memos he had sent to Rajiv Gandhi as Prime Minister, that things are getting from bad to worse. So yes, Farooq Abdullah, for some reason, started encouraging the terrorists to cross over. And the first batch of JKLF unofficially was welcomed by him. And it was known in Kashmiri circles that he welcomed the JKLF.
There was a scene in Kashmir Files film where Bitta Karate is shown, the terrorist character, at Farooq Abdullah's house. One scene where Mithun goes to meet the chief minister. So what is that scene? So how real is that?
He was, that was before 89 when he was the first term chief minister, when governor was Jagmohan. During that time, as I said, a lot of preparation was going on and a lot of JKLF cadre was welcomed. Because I think Farooq Abdullah thought that to be Islamist at that time would give him more power. So he started encouraging Islamists in all cadres. Even the police in 80s or during his tenure got infiltrated with Jamaati Islami kind of goons. So he took a hard line and he said the best thing is to let these people in. That will strengthen his position. That was the reason when these JKLF and other people, terrorists came to
strengthened.
Kashmir. So they were already there. When you say in 89, 90, they are already crossed. Many of them had crossed line of control. They were living in Kashmir. And the local grown terrorists were also being formed. Hizbul Mujahideen and all the Allah's Tiger was another one. So there were a lot of these as they were called tanzeems, a lot of organizations were already mushrooming in Kashmir in 89, 90.
Okay. So, and what was Mufti Muhammad Said's role, you think? Mufti Muhammad Said as a home minister, he had a role?
No, he was a home minister and his daughter got kidnapped. And
was the kidnapping real or you
I'm a person, I will, without a proof, I won't say real or unreal, but the word on the street was that it was all dramatized. It was not true. It was to get those 4 dreaded terrorists released from India, from the jails. And that was the word on the street, but without, I don't have any proof for that, but that was the, the kind of rumor mongering going on around that time.
Okay, so I'll come a little more to Jagmohan because, these days, a lot of discussions about Jagmohan, especially the Congresses, the left liberal lobby, they try to point their finger to Jagmohan. And you had personally known Jagmohan. So would love to know from you.
Yeah, he was, you will also later on ask me about Balasaheb Thackeray. These two fellows were very, very intelligent. They were movers, shakers, and they wanted to do something. So we knew
Jagmohan, you said he wanted to do something for the Kashmiri Hindus. That is your opinion?
He was very popular. During the first session, before Farooq Abdullah in 80s, for 1 or 2 years, he was the governor there was governor's rule. He was called Pagambar. The streets were getting cleaned in the morning under his direction. The best roads came up, which are still existing. So the Muslims called him the Pagambar, of Kashmir. There was a lot of clean administration. He used to meet people in groups and sort their problems out. During that time, he was also governed is also the chancellor of Kashmir University. So my mother was a dean and professor, so we used to go and meet him. So he was very cordial. He used to know his brief. He used to know people. He wanted to meet people and sort their problems out. He was that kind of person, very proactive kind of person. So that was the reason why he was sent again in 89, 90, January 1918 or 19, he was 18, I think he was given the permission to go back because they thought that
he was back on 22nd as well.
No, he was in Jammu for 1 or 2 years, but physically he was, but on paper, I think 18th or 19th, he was given the charge. That is why his name of the book is Frozen Turbulence in Kashmir. Turbulence is because of the plane. His plane had to return back to Jammu. Because you would realize that in Kashmir in winters, the administration lives in Jammu. This is Darbar Moong. 6 months Kashmir, Srinagar is the capital, and for winters, Jammu is the capital. So he went to Jammu. He could not come to Kashmir because his plane could not land till 21st or 22nd. And he was given Kashmir charge because the first innings of Jagmohan was very popular. So everybody thought in Parliament, this person knows Kashmir inside out. He would be the person. General VK Krishna Rao was the governor who had to resign, and then Jagmohan came as the governor. And before
so this allegation against Jagmohan but then that time when this 19th January thing was happening, as you said, he was there before Farooq Abdullah came governor's rule. Then Farooq Abdullah was the CM. When Jagmohan wrote the famous letters to Rajiv Gandhi, and Rajiv Gandhi did not act. And then he went back, and then you're saying VK Krishna Rao was the governor, and he was reappointed in January 1990, and he came back around 22nd of January to Kashmir.
And 18 January, Farooq Abdullah resigned.
Yes, 18 January, we've seen in the film also, yes. So then how much truth is there in this allegation that people are trying to, that pinning the blame on Jagmohan? There's a section of people,
this is very stupid of anyone to pin blame on Jagmohan, whether it be nationalist or anti-nationalist. You cannot. He came on 21st, 22nd. I think in that book I've read many years back, he says the whole administration had become against India. He could not even get a person in Rajbhavan to make him a cup of tea or something, warm water, I think he writes. Nobody could give me warm water in winter. So nobody was there. The administration had totally been taken over by jihadis. And the police, everything was anti-him. So he had to restart the process. So he must have got his few advisors. One was Wajahad Abdullah was the advisor. Then Ved Marwa, the police chief, had become his advisor. He must have had army commandants as his advisors. To pin blame on Jagmohan is stupidity, because I mean he had just come and he was trying to get hold of the situation. And in the same situation, 19 January, these jihadis come and say that leave your women here, go away, or we will start raping, and things had started. So he had to look into that aspect also. Where would Kashmiri Hindus go? You have to remind yourself, January 19, January in Kashmir is a very cold month.
Cold month, yeah.
-10, -8, you can die of hypothermia. So it is not a picnic summer. It is a very, very cold month there. So the provisions to, give to these people like us, we were all scared. What to do? You were scared for your life. So many people made their own way towards Jammu, but the administration did earmark few areas around Jammu. One is Nagrota, about 10 miles away from Jammu, Nagrota camp, where the famous Jagti camp still exists. Okay. So he made all these camps around Jammu, thinking that it is not winter there. Jammu winter is much milder. Milder, and after 1 or 2 months they can come back. So everybody thought it will pass away in 2 months, So,
but it didn't.
But it didn't.
And there is also the letters you are saying that which he had sent when Farooq Abdullah was the chief minister. He had written letters to Rajiv Gandhi.
Because as a governor, you are supposed to write your memos directly to Prime Minister. Governor always writes. Even when Karan Singh was Sadr Riyasat in 50s, they used to always correspond with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister is always in touch with the governor.
Right.
How the situation is like. So he reminds him in what happens in, I think on 7th or 8th of March, 1990, a parliamentary delegation comes to Kashmir to take stock of the things. And in that delegation is Rajiv Gandhi and there is Devi Lal, who is the deputy prime minister. So they, instead of finding what happened to Kashmiri Hindus or what is happening in the administration, they started fighting on protocol. Rajiv Gandhi started complaining that Jagmohan did not come to receive Devi Lal in the airport. He sat on his right side. So all those 3 days were wasted on the protocols and complaining to VP Singh that Jagmohan did not do this. He did not give protocol, all that nonsense. Nobody was working.
Okay.
So that frustrated. When Rajiv Gandhi went back, he wrote that he's without talking to people, without meeting people. They say, no, people are telling us that he's against Muslims. So that initiated or that forced Jagmohan to write an open letter in March, April. I think it was April first week or in 1990 to Rajiv and remind him, jog his memory that I have been always telling you this is happening and you have been ignoring us, ignoring his memos.
Advices.
Yeah. So that is the timeline.
I'll come to the next question then. See, I in 1990, we were quite young, and those days we are in Kolkata. And I personally think I've been very aware. Our families, we used to get two newspapers, vernacular English. Believe me, at that point of time, we were not aware. We didn't know. I came to know about the Kashmiri Pandit genocide much later, like years later. So what happened exactly for this whitewashing? Who do you hold responsible for this hiding or whitewashing of this?
The administration and government of India did not want to tell the people of India that this is happening to Kashmiri Hindus. They wanted to paint it as a jihadi issue. They did not want to paint it as a religious issue. But around the same time, if you remember, there was only Doordarshan, but there used to be a VHS tape by India Today called News Track. News Track used to come twice a month. They used to get those VHS tapes. And in that used to be a journalist called Manoj Raghuvanshi. Manoj Raghuvanshi is the man whose interview is based, Bita Karate's interview, which is in the movie, or showing those AK-47 crowd, wanting Azadi. All are from Manoj Raghuvanshi's footage. I used to see them when that was available. In Madhu Trihan used to be the editor of that News Track. They're still
Okay.
available in YouTube. I've tracked.
Yes, yes, I've seen somebody sent me a part 1 of the news.
So Manoj Raghuvanshi is still available, and he was the person who told rest of India that things are not are very difficult for Kashmiri Hindus. He also traveled to our camps in Jammu and Nagrota and did all those footage you are seeing on
so
YouTube.
Did you people also need to stay in camps, or you did not?
No. I will tell you why. My daddy, from 80s only, he had an intuition that things are going not our way. It's a matter of time that we will be thrown out. He had an intuition. It had started in the early 80s. They were getting radicalized, very radicalized. Daddy, by his luck or by his foresight, had got a small place in Jammu and also a small place in Delhi, in Gurgaon, which was very cheap. For 1 or 2 lakhs, we had got a house being made by DLF. DLF had started. And Jammu also, we had a small place. My Mamaji's place was there. 2 houses were there.
Okay.
So we had an intuition. So we were lucky that we did not live in these tents. But a lot of our people lived in those tents, which is shown in the movie, the Kashmir Files, which is true. They have shown less. You can understand there were no toilets. There were nothing there. People were made to run for rice and all that. So it was not a very happy situation in the camps. And people, as you know, in summers, a lot of our old women and men died of snake bites, scorpio, and even hypothermia. We were not used to this high temperatures in 44. We were used to about 28, 29. So living in those temperature with Ferron on, a lot of people died of hypothermia or heat stroke, sunstroke, all that.
Okay. And I'll come to your tenure in Bombay. You did your surgery also, master's in surgery. And as I know, you had interaction with Balasaheb Thackeray then. You treated him with yakni and all. Yakni, your mother
I wrote, I wrote about it in the
Facebook. Yes.
A lot of people have read it. So what had happened?
And what was Balasaheb's role and how did Balasaheb contribute to this?
Balasaheb is the biggest person who has helped our community till now. And the second help is from this movie, The Kashmir Files. What happened was for 3 years, till 1993, Kashmiri Hindus had no place to study. Even in Jammu, we had to go to the evening classes to study, and there were no professional courses available. So 1992, after the Babri Masjid demolition, there were riots, communal riots in Bombay. And my brother had written a letter to Times of India complaining about, I think, Shabana Azmi, that she's not saying anything about the Kashmiri Hindus. She's always talking about Kashmiri, these Muslims and all that. So she somehow had connection with Times of India and she tracked the letter. And luckily in that letter was the telephone number, our telephone number in Lokhandwala. We were living there in Shastri Nagar. So she phones our house and my brother was not there, but daddy picked up the phone. He says, I'm so and so. He said, I'm Shabana Azmi. I would like to speak to Amit because he has written a letter which I really disagree with. So daddy told her, look, he listened to the story and he said, look, I agree that what you are doing is good, but what have you done for Kashmiri Hindus? They have also suffered a lot. He said, Kolsa, why don't you come to my house and we will have a chat. So with your family. So my mummy told me, I said, no. Let you people, 2 people go and let you people talk to Shabana Azmi. So they went, my mother and father went, and in the course of things, Shabana Azmi said, why don't you meet Balasaheb Thackeray? So daddy said, Balasaheb Thackeray, how does Shabana...
So Shabana Azmi suggested you about Balasaheb Thackeray.
So daddy told her that, Muslims generally are averse to Balasaheb Thackeray. Why are you telling us? He said, no. Whenever I have a small problem or any problem, I go to Balasaheb Thackeray and he sorts the problem out. So daddy and mummy came back to the house in Lokhandwala and they told us. I said, what will Balasaheb do? What is the point of meeting and all that? Mummy said, mummy was very proactive, more proactive than what you think I am. Much more, 10, 20 times. She said, no, let us meet. What is there? Let us meet Balasaheb and tell him. So Balasaheb, we sent a small note. He used to live in East Bandra, Kala Press Colony. called something.
I know.
Yeah. So we sent a small note.
Matoshri
was the house, and before that there was a gate of the colony. We sent a letter, a small note saying that Shaban Azim has said this Kashmiri Hindus, we are refugees and all that. So within 5-10 minutes, there was a signal that Bala Sahib would like to see us. So we walked down the street and there was Matushri, and on the left-hand side of the house, we entered his house and there was a small room. We sat there and there were a few more people, and he came after maybe 5 minutes and he wished us, he sat down, listened to our story. So at that time, we had nothing in mind. We were telling him that, he says, look, what I'm doing is that this Ashok Pandit is a movie director here. We both have tied up these, Sardar Sikh truck drivers come to Sain. Sain is a big area of Sikhs where the truck drivers, Sain Kolivada, if you want to eat a good Punjabi food, they will make it for you there. So he said these truck drivers bring a lot of gehu, anaj to Bombay, and their trucks go back empty. So he said, Kolsam, I called these in charge of these truckers, the Sardarji. I said, why don't you, take my food grain and these kambal, chadar and bedding to Kashmiri Hindu refugees. So they used to take. He said they used to make an extra trip from Pathankot, which they were happy to take. So Daddy somehow, I don't know what struck Daddy. Daddy said, look, Bala Sahib, in Kashmiri, in our community, we are 100% literate community. Even if we starve for food, we would like education. Education is our is the need of the hour. 3 years have taken place, and for 3 years, our youngsters are loitering from one door to another. We have been given small payment shops in Delhi by the BJP government, and we are not dukandars by profession. We cannot run shops. So Bala Sahib said it is very easy. He says, my right-hand man is Manohar Joshi, who runs Kohinoor academies since decades. He will definitely help. Then he phoned Manohar Joshi. He was not the chief minister at that time. He was still running Kohinoor academies and all that. He said, I will be sending this lovely family to you, educated family. Just see that their community who are migrants and get educational reservation. And then in the intercom, he calls his wife, Bala Sahib, says, the Kashmiri Hindus who have come, and can you, welcome them. So she came with a thali and aarti and gave us, kumkum and all that, tika, kumkum, mithai. And then started a discourse. And he said, Vivek, by the time he knew my name, बोलता Vivek जी मैं आपके लिए इतना बड़ा काम कर रहा हूँ, मुझे रिश्वत में क्या मिलेगा? What will I get in bribe? He joked. He had good sense of humor. So I also have a good sense of humor. He didn't know. So I said, I will bring a tiffin carrier of yakni, which my mother makes very nice. Mutton yakni, my mother is very good. He says, lao, please get it. So in between we met Manohar Joshi. He said, I'm the Hanuman of Bala Sahib. और मेरा मन होता है हेल्प करने का. आगे क्या होगा परमात्मा करेगा, लेकिन I will do my 200%. He did his 200%, got it done. And then in the meanwhile, I didn't know what he was doing, but I took the tiffin carrier to Bala Sahib, and the whole family enjoyed it. He phoned me saying in the evening that it was the best meat dish he has ever eaten. And he had only one doubt. He said, did your mother put any nuts in it? Because I'm nut allergy, I don't want to die. I said, you have survived since morning, how will you die? Then he said, no, ask your mom. So my mom was in the kitchen. I said, Mommy is asking, Bala Sahib is asking, have we put any nuts into it? Bolta, nahi, Mama, you tell him yourself. Bolta, nahi, Bala Sahib, humne nuts nahi dalne hain. So he was very satisfied. So
I'll come to the reservation point. I'll just interject. So Manohar Joshi, he said that education mein reservation. The dialogue is also there in Kashmir Files. That girl says in the camp. Yes. So what was the reservation provided? If you can just elaborate on that.
Before that, I told Vivek ji, I said, even if it is out of context, you are the director. Please put this line in the film anywhere that Bala Sahib has given us reservation. I said his name should come, at least remain historic for historical reference. And what he did was, Manohar Joshi ji used to run this Kohinoor Academy, which had educational institute, management institute, engineering seats. So he tied up with other Somaya and all those. He had the link. He got, the only thing he couldn't get was medical seats. He told us, I spoke to the medical, our educational secretary. He says for medicine, we have to take MCI, Medical Council of India, authority.
Approval.
Approval. Yes, approval was the word. So it might take time. But others I have done, because engineering college and management colleges are so many. Even if we take, actually Bala Sahib says, how many seats would you think you would need? I said, Daddy said, we hardly get 5-10 seats in Kashmir, maybe 1,000 plus. He says, ho jayega. He says, if 10 seats in every college in Maharashtra, there are so many, 100 and 200. So it will be 2,000-3,000. So the good part of that was he kept it, the migration for the reservation for migrants. So many Muslims also availed of it. Kashmiri Muslims who called themselves migrants also availed of this reservation. And this reservation policy I came to know with the Rajya Sabha member a few days back, Vivek Kaul, MP Rajya Sabha. He said, Vivek, same reservation policy was copied letter and word and was implemented in Madhya Pradesh also in December 1993. So instead of getting 5-10 seats, we are getting thousands now. And that what happened was it opened the floodgates to our education, and we are all over the world. It's because of Bala Sahib's education policy. Otherwise, this movie would also not have been made, because we would have been destitute, living in tents and all that. So it helped us. The reservation policy really helped us to re-establish
your community. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
And so Vivek ji, this film, this Kashmir Files by Vivek Agnihotri, I mean, kudos to Vivek Agnihotri and his team. This has created a storm. I'll rather say maybe a tsunami has come. So there is, what should I say, shiver in the Bollywood, because Bollywood never made this kind of film. In Bollywood, previously, we have seen films which had glorified terrorists, films like Haidar and all those things. So now with this film and doing huge business is not the only thing. The response of the people, ordinary people are responding, and there's no entertainment. People know there's no song, dance, yet people are going. So do you see that there can be a change, there can be a different era starting after this film in Bollywood? Do you think that that is possible, that there will be a change unleashed or something?
I don't know about Bollywood. It should change Bollywood a lot. A lot of directors should come up to make truthful pictures. But it will definitely change Indian society. It is a very societal movement. It's not a picture. It's just a revolution. What he has done is shown the truth, which was never shown before. And the greatest problem with secularism is that you murder the truth. You cannot speak the truth in Indian secularism. So, but he has gone beyond it. He has still told the story as it was. Actually, after the release and after the premiere, he phoned me, Vivek ji. He said, Vivek, have I let you down? I promised you something in Oxford that I will not let you down. I said, no, you have not let me down. You have done more than justice to our story. But I think this film will open the way for our commission of inquiry and commission of rehabilitation.
Yes, I'll come to that, because I'll come to that. Yes, my last question of the day is that see, the Prime Minister has spoken about the film, which is a very rare thing. I mean, it has never happened, I think. And here, what's happening around us is the MP of the area is booking a theatre hall for all BJP karyakartas. They're going with flags and all. So whether BJP is taking an advantage or political advantage out of it, that is one thing. But as a Kashmiri Pandit, what are you looking forward to? What is your expectation from the present day government?
My expectation is very simple. I've been telling it since 2012 when I came to Facebook first time in my life. From day one, when others were talking about 370 and all that, my thing was very simple. We need a commission of inquiry. We need a commission of rehabilitation. These two things are the primary things which Kashmiri Hindus need. We want the guilty to be punished, and we have Ladakh, we had Ladakh Hill Council, we had Kargil Hill Council. We also want a Kashmiri Hindu Hill Council, where a part of Kashmir is given to us, so that we can have our own subculture which can thrive there around Martan to Pahalgam. We can have that area. And without that,
do you think the people will again go back? They're settled.
Oh, yeah.
So many around across the country or world. They're scattered.
Yeah, so Kashmiri Hindus are very different. They're very we are very culturally very strong and very bound to each other. During 1990, not a single Kashmiri Pandit converted. We are very, what do you say, we are very proud of being Hindus, very proud, ultra proud. We don't, even in our community, love jihad doesn't exist. Our Hindu girls don't go and just marry some Amjad or something. We don't. We are very proud of our culture. We find boys and girls in our own community. So, or we may marry Hindus, but we do not do all these kind of things because we are very proud. So all over, like Jews had to wait for 2000 years to come back to Israel. 2000 years they were outside Israel. If they can wait for 2000 years, why can't we wait 32 years? Once they give us a portion of Kashmir, like a Kashmiri Pandit Hill Council or whatever they call it, Darjeeling Hill Council already is there. So we will thrive. I will be the first person to go there and give a strategic idea how to do, what to do. We will have fruit, we'll have universities, we'll have everything there. We will give our life.
We're looking forward to that rehabilitation and punishment of the criminals, really.
Correct.
Hopefully that happens, a commission of inquiry happens.
Yes.
So if there is a hope, I think. You were talking about your boys and your community very proud. But in the film also it was shown, and I heard from Anupam Kher that the children who were small, maybe the infants and kids who did not realize, the parents who went out of Kashmir, so many times they did not disclose this harsh reality about massacre and genocide to the children. So is that a reality? You're saying it's a proud community, but didn't the parents of the community disclose? It's shown in the film also. Krishna doesn't know. Yeah.
That is a psychological mental state which everyone goes through. I have met many Jew survivors of, like this person I told you, I think, that he wanted to meet the queen and he's a Jew survivor from a concentration camp. They never discussed this. Shirley, his wife, never knew what happened to him.
You did not tell me, maybe in personally.
No, what happened was one day, because of the documentation, I was telling someone was that documentation is very important. What Vivek ji has done, he has documented our thing from interviews. On the day of the premiere, I called. I asked him a question in the audience. They said, "You are the Simon Wiesenthal of India." Simon Wiesenthal was a gentleman who collected all the data of all the surviving Jews, and from there he tracked the criminals, and there he started the trials. Like Adolf Eichmann was arrested in Argentina in 1961. He was flown to Israel, and he had his trial. So that gentleman did the documentation of this. In the documentation, he came to know that majority of family members he was documenting were not telling their own family members what they went through. Is the genocide survivors are very much like it. They do not want they want to keep a very happy face. They do not want to tell their tragedy to their own family members. It's very difficult for them. So the lady who came to our house to tell it to Vivek Agnotri also had not told it to anyone. We keep it bottled up. It is one of those mechanisms or one of the psychological responses to extreme trauma. People who came out of concentration camps, who survived, they did not tell ordinary people when they came to real life that what they were doing, how they were surviving. They were saying, no, we came from Germany. So
what about you in person, about your children and all? Did you tell them?
No, I did not tell them. So they will see. They will see the movie. And they know that I was from Kashmir, and they know in 2012 I had gone to Kashmir with my sons, and my wife forced me to go to our old house, which was sold to a Muslim. I was emotionally very charged up that day, in a nice, not in anger. I went there to the house, met the owner, came out. All those kind of things do happen. But I had my sons told me, Papa, you should go and visit these houses and your own house.
Okay, so you visited your house, so it must have been a very emotional moment. Yeah, of
yes,
course, I understand. Yeah,
very emotional.
This is something very surprising for us. We usually tell our children, like the Muslims do tell, the Muslims somehow they give their glory also when they tell ki we ruled for 800 years. They instill that feeling in that their children. We ruled India, and then this kind of. But Hindus I think Hindus lack. We don't tell our children about our ancestors. And here you are talking about genocide survivors. You drew a comparison between
survivors is a coping mechanism they have. They don't want to talk about their tragedy to everyone. They keep it bottled up.
Right. So I hope now the bottle, everything has come up from the bottle.
Oh yeah,
The
Actually,
film has brought.
Yes, brought the emotions out, and people are talking about it on the evening TV. They're getting survivors, they're getting victims, and all that. They are talking about it.
Right. So, and I think it is for good. And if this is something,
It's a catharsis, a good catharsis. It's very good
and
for.
Hope this will, as you said, the rehabilitation and the inquiry of commission.
Yeah, that
is the
final
purpose.
There's a final demand or final thing which should happen. Commission of inquiry, justice, and rehabilitation. There's no doubt about it.
So let's end this chat today. I think we had a wonderful chat and so many things have come to know. Yeah, and so we will close today on this note that me and all Kashmiri Pandits, why Kashmiri Pandits? The people of this country, all Hindus from, I'm a Bengali, all Hindus, or maybe all humanists from this country and around, we are looking forward to an inquiry of commission, punishment of the criminals, the likes of Bitta Karate, who's outside, should again go back to jail, hang the criminals, and a rehabilitation of the Kashmiri Pandits.
And the last thing, Gargi ji, is that if we don't get this commission of inquiry, same thing can happen to other Hindus, other communities in the rest of India. So justice has to be seen to be delivered. It should not happen in West Bengal. It should not happen in Kerala. It should not happen in Assam. So this commission of inquiry is not only for us. It's for all minorities, all Hindus, or anyone who has been suppressed. That a commission of inquiry should be so harsh. So this tragedy should not be repeated in rest of India. That is the idea.
Right. Because if a nation forgets its history, I think it is condemned to repeat it. And this kind of thing should not be repeated. And that's why it is required. The commission of inquiry and punishment and rehabilitation. So let's end at this note. Thank you, Dr. Vivek Kaul. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.